Hello, my name is Max Beckett and welcome to my video analysis of JoJo Rabbit. Directed by Taika Waititi, JoJo Rabbit is a unique film which combines comedy and action into a film on such a severe environment being set in World War II. The film uses a wide range of codes and conventions to help convey the narrative of the 10-year-old JoJo Betzler and how his character development and storyline is represented in where he's forced to learn and make decisions through his toxic environment. JoJo Rabbit's plot allows the audience to consume and engage themes through the discovery of ideology in discrimination, prejudice, and power towards what occurred during the time period of the Holocaust. But how does this all link together to create the film JoJo Rabbit, which won an incredible 16 awards? First, we have to take a look at how the narrative was constructed. When analysing JoJo Rabbit, what stands out is the types of conventions used, more particularly referring to the narrative conventions. The Cause Such Effect is an example, and it's a great overview of how it helped emphasise how JoJo Rabbit's plot and which emotions were being represented using technical and symbolic codes. Take a look at the way JoJo over time realised how he did not fit in, and how, with the power of his imaginary friend beside him in his imaginary point of view, another narrative convention, Hitler motivates him to blow himself up, running with him as he picks up the grenade after the Cause where JoJo refused to kill the bunny. This ultimately led to JoJo having to stay home as he could barely walk and no longer fight in the army, which led to the main effect where JoJo secretly found the Jew in Elsa who Rosie had been hiding, which also influences the development and closing of JoJo Rabbit. However, it's important to note that narrative conventions can be quite boring if not for the codes and conventions added to them to help positively influence audiences' engagement. Codes and conventions are what can make or break a film, so how are they included and executed well in JoJo Rabbit? The two codes which really pop consist of acting and setting, and which are actually combined to piece together the narrative structure. The acting is displayed through JoJo's character establishment, as in how we introduce the JoJo Betzler as a 10-year-old wanting to make Hitler proud, versus just having the desire to
just do what you can,
which ultimately resulted in JoJo kicking Hitler out the window. The codes used create meaning for the audience as it helps emphasize the story of the film. When the codes displayed in the story are paired with the genre conventions, mostly involving a satire approach to the Holocaust, it helps positively influence and increase the engagement towards the film. Acting is used to help convey the emotional aspects of the film. This is shown through the scene of JoJo's mother's death, in which is actually foreshadowed through the concern of JoJo as he sees Rosie leaving a Germany sign, which is translated to
Free Germany.
The emotions of JoJo are also foreshadowed as well, with the colour grading, as progressively over time in the film, colours which were once vibrant when JoJo's mind was overflowing with imagination and dreams, actually results in darker shades of colour instead, mostly grey, in which represent his mind full of negativity and doubts. Together the two, with the grey shades of pavement and the depressing emotions represented by JoJo, help to create a heartfelt message which the audience can engage in and feel JoJo's pain through the screen of how war can influence people's life in such drastic ways. The scene also highly contributes towards the character arc of not only JoJo, but the people around him such as Elsa and Captain K, who ultimately end up helping JoJo as they navigate through inspections and gunfire. Waititi also uses a lot of codes as per mentioned before, however they all fall into categories of narrative, film and genre conventions which all combine together into a relationship resulting in the media narrative of JoJo Rabbit. The narrative conventions used help create the media narrative, and which is represented through the structuring of time. Considering the story is told completely linear, there aren't any flashbacks or flash forwards which help create the narrative, breaking down every little event which happens detail by detail. In doing so, Taika Waititi uses sound, cuts, editing, clothes changes, and change of scenery to help convey the structuring of time in a narrative convention style. Film conventions are also used in a way to help establish setting. This is shown where JoJo and Rosie dance with each other
To show God we are grateful to be alive.
This helps expand on Rosie's character arc and how she simply wants war to be over and to have peace. Genre conventions are used to allow the film to stand out and allow the audience of millennials to consume the context. The genre conventions more particularly refer to the satire approach JoJo Rabbit conveys. Satire is used to critique the controversial actions of society's past in World War II to demonstrate the systems of power and our wrongs in the past and how it's important to educate the next generation on this so we learn from it. This is shown through the World War II fight scene, as the intended meaning for the audience is displayed as children were the real victims of war, and this is even shown as an innocent kid had to
Just go give him a hug.
which resulted in the death of him. The context of the film has contributed to the views and opinions represented in the narrative. The historical context is what shapes the views of propaganda towards Nazis and how they were portrayed in the narrative. This is shown through the 10-year-old JoJo better, as he had been brainwashed by Nazi beliefs and ideology, which resulted in the tale of cause/effect, where he was faced with challenges where the bad guys close in. The film has also contributed to the opinions based on how Jews were viewed back in the 1940s, and how ever since then, we've developed as a society to conquer and push back those beliefs into the past. In the film, this is represented through when JoJo states, "If I ever see a Jew, I'll kill them," compared to after discovering Elsa and realizing how she's just a regular person. It changed that uneducated perception he had on her earlier, as she was innocent, hiding for her life. It's also important to view, however, how the context of the film contributes to the representations. The context of the film has been carved out in a particular way to represent the plot of the film and the ways in which different races were portrayed in everyday life throughout the 1940s. Jojo Rabbit, as we know, consists of the discovery of the 10-year-old JoJo in the time period of World War II. The mise-en-scene of the film has helped convey this, with many scenes with how race and nationality was portrayed. An example of this would be through the house inspection, where Elsa ultimately reveals herself to avoid trouble and potentially save JoJo from being caught of hiding a Jew. This scene shows how Elsa was simply a regular, ordinary person, and the methods of the disgusted ways Jews were treated were not valid for any reason. The context of the scene also relates to the historical context, where the film dives deep into the corrupt methods of propaganda with Nazis and how overpowering they were to the innocent Jews. The historical context helps establish why Taika Waititi wanted to make this film to help educate the next generation on the past actions, and how, when paired with representations, they are used to create an informative yet humorous film. However, that's nothing without the sweet codes and conventions used. Codes and conventions is what is able to create engagement for the audience. Engagement refers to how the film emotionally and cognitively feelings combine to create a media product to form complex meanings and experiences. This is displayed through Rosie getting enraged at JoJo for wanting his dad home. This creates engagement as the audience can potentially relate to the story, if not draw out feelings of sympathy for JoJo and or even Rosie as well. This is also shown via the code of acting to fully help emphasize the character's establishment and development of both Rosie and JoJo, and how the obstacles they face make them learn from their mistakes. JoJo Rabbit also allows high levels of consumption, which refers to the physical way audiences consume media projects and the context and the place in which they receive it. This is represented through the mise-en-scene of the film, which consists of everything that is seen on screen. With the high amounts of editing shown, it helps expand on the excitement and physical yet emotional action occurring with each scene. This is shown in the war fight scene, where the characters have to go to war, and this really brings out the best of characters such as Captain K, who gives JoJo his final words before saving JoJo. With these combined together, it allows the audience to consume the narrative to its fullest potential. The audience being able to read what occurs in the film is also incredibly important in how JoJo Rabbit was such a successful film. This is shown by the sound, more particularly the soundtracks that were played. A great representation of soundtracks is when JoJo slowly discovers Elsa after seeing the crack in the floor. The soundtrack starts light before becoming unsteady and faster paced, as it grabs attention towards the audience's ears, as the audience can sense how something is or is about to happen, they just don't know what yet. By Taika Waititi doing this, it increases the engagement of the audience, allowing for the codes and story to be read much easier. But how does all of today's discussion support the analyzation of the construction of the narrative and discuss audience engagement, consumption, and reading of the narrative? A key scene that develops the narrative is the scene where Rosie and Elsa talk about how JoJo can't know Elsa's in the same household as him, even though he already does know, of course. This establishes Rosie's feelings towards JoJo, as he acts as he's a lost cause, and how Elsa doesn't know him, and how he acts. More supportive evidence consists of an interview on YouTube with Taika Waititi, uploaded by IndieWire, which shows why he needed JoJo Rabbit to be a comedy. This helps support how important the construction of the narrative is, as it increases the engagement of the plot. In the interview, Taika Waititi states how he creates JoJo's imaginary friend in Hitler, where he creates
weird love triangle,
where Hitler starts getting jealous of Elsa to help elaborate on the humorous context of the film. Ultimately, Jojo Rabbit is a cinematic masterpiece which uses a wide range of codes and conventions to create a set of character arcs and the plot in which is easily engaged in to help reach the intended meaning of the film, which represents how children were the real victims of war. Thank you for listening.